Today, I'm going to teach you how to do your makeup using only 5 drugstore products.
All about natural beauty, yeah, slim Reshae.
First things first, skin prep. So this is an optional step and not included in the 5 products, but I use the La Roche-Posay Double Repair Moisturizer and the e.l.f. Power Grip Primer to prep my skin. Now for the brows, I'm taking this Spoolie in Brow Duo Ended Brush and my Black Radiance True Complexion Contour Palette, taking the contour shade to carve out my brows. So I did this in the original Beginner Starter Makeup Kit, and again, I'm just showing you guys how this routine still works to this day. So I'm taking the angled brush to fill in my brows, and I wanted to show you guys kind of in real time how I'm doing this. Your brows frame your face, so you want to make sure you're doing a shape that is flattering to your face or that follows your natural brow shape. After filling it in, I like to brush out the front with the spoolie end of the brush to just give it a more natural look. And so this is what my brow looks like filled in, and the other one not. So this is an optional step. This is not included in the 5 products, but this is using a brow pencil. You really can use this instead of using the contour palette, but I was trying to keep the kit at the 5 products how we did the last time. So if you want to fill it out with a brow pencil, you can use a brow pencil to fill out your brows. Now we're going to conceal the brows with the iconic LA Girl Pro Concealer. This is in the shade Fawn, and I'm just showing you guys how I'm using the brush applicator from the product to carve out my brows underneath my brows. What you do to one side, you want to do that to the other side. And the reason why you carve out your brows is to clean up any mistakes that you make, cover up any, like, say your brows aren't done and you're trying to cover up any additional brow hairs that you don't want to be seen. Like, that is why you do this. And it also kind of gives the illusion of freshly waxed or done brows because it gives you that kind of light highlight underneath the brows. Now I am using my finger to blend this out. If you have long nails, I would recommend trying like a Q-tip, but this allows you to get that natural blend up under the brows. And I wanted to go ahead and do this on top of my brows as well. Now you want to be careful with the shade that you choose. Sometimes I like to use my foundation for this step as well because you want it to look a little bit natural above the brows. If you use too bright of a concealer, it's gonna give that halo brow look. Unless that's the look you're going for, I would avoid using super light concealers on the top portion of your brows when you're cleaning them up. Another pro of using your finger is that it's warming up the product so it's able to melt into your skin a lot better. Now for foundation, I am taking the e.l.f. This is the Soft Glam Satin Foundation. This is one of their newer foundations, and y'all, when I tell you this has been like my go-to lately, it looks so pretty on the skin. So I am using shade 53 and I'm applying it with my finger first to my face. I like to do this because I like to place the product on my face and then blend it out. So I'm taking my NYX Pro Buffing Brush to buff in this foundation, and I am showing you guys this in real time. Like I said, it took me probably about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes to blend out this side of my face, and I just want to show you guys the motion that I'm doing. So I'm not swiping because I feel like when you swipe you can get streaks. So I'm just like patting in circular motions and just buffing this foundation into the skin. Now as you can see, it's already looking so glowy and radiant, and this is why I suggest doing the skin prep with the primer and making sure your face is moisturized, because it gives you a surface for your foundation to just grip to it and just blend in and melt like butter. So if you feel like your foundation is looking patchy and you're using the same products that I'm using, I would look into your skin prep and making sure that your skin is moisturized and, you know, properly primed with whatever primer works for the type of skin that you have. But all in all, I really have been loving this foundation. They have about 36 shades, I believe, but the finish of this foundation is like really beautiful. It's nice and radiant, so I think it's great for like combination skin, dry skin. I do feel like if you have the proper primer, that it will also work on oily skin as well. I'm not adding any additional product to my forehead, but I'm just taking the leftover product that's on my brush and just brushing that over my forehead and on my nose. So I wanted to take this Wonder Blender from AOA Studio and just blend out on top of that. So I feel like anytime you feel like you over apply your makeup or you want a really flawless blend, I like to go over it with a blending sponge. Now this sponge is slightly damp, but I just like to do this. It's an optional step just to give you more of a flawless finish. Now we're going back in with that LA Girl Pro Concealer to conceal the high points of our face. So this is going to be like underneath the eyes. I still like doing the small triangle underneath my eyes and on the sides of my nose, and then I also add some to the chin, to the center of my forehead, and then I do a skinny strip down the bridge of my nose. So I also took a little bit to reverse contour like my cheeks and under my the hollows of my cheeks, and this is just gonna give you a more chiseled look. So I like doing this. This is also a helpful tip to use if your foundation is a little bit darker than your actual skin tone. This can help balance it out. So I'm blending all of this out with the sponge, blending out my chin, my forehead, and the strip down my nose. As you can see, I am waiting to blend out the concealer under my eyes, because if you want a fuller coverage under the eyes and you want to, conceal those bags, honey, all the things, you want to let that thing dry down. And so after you let it dry down for about 3 to 5 minutes, then you'll go in and blend it out. And I do feel like you get higher coverage when you blend it out with a brush, but we're just going to use a sponge today because we're trying to keep the tools at a minimum, okay? So, and it's beginner friendly. So we're going to take that sponge, we're gonna blend it out, and as you can see, this concealer is looking amazing. The skin is looking so good, and I'm getting excited. So now I'm taking this brush and I'm taking the Sculpt shade from the Black Radiance True Complexion Contour Palette, and I'm just using this to carve out the hollows of my cheek. Now you can do this up to your liking. This can be an optional step if you liked how my face looked without the bronzing, but I love to bronze my face. So this gives you a warm essence to your face. So I like to add that to my forehead and the hollows of my cheeks. Now I did go in with the contour shade, which is the darker shade, just to give me a little bit of, a little snatch. I just wanted to see what we was looking like. And then I smushed this brush, the bristles of the brush, between my fingers to lightly contour the sides of my nose. And then I also used this brush to just add some of that Sculpt shade on my lids. So I love adding bronzer to my lids because I feel like it elevates the look just a little bit and it just brings it all together. Now for setting powder, I'm using the Maybelline Fit Me Loose setting powder, and I am just dusting off some of this extra powder, adding it to the back of my hand before I apply it to my face. This is going to allow for a more even distribution of the powder, and you want to set everywhere that you applied that concealer. So we're going to set under the eyes, and we're just going to keep patting and blending where there's no super harsh lines. We're not going to overly bake, but we're going to apply a light gentle layer of this powder, doing the bridge of the nose as well as the forehead, and then I like to do my chin and take that a little bit up into my smile lines. Now we did reverse contour, so I'm going to do that with powder as well, and do that just gently up under where we bronzed. And I just like to continue patting this around until my face looks like this, and then I'm going back in, not adding additional product, but just using the brush that we applied the bronzer with, so I can blend out some of those edges to where that powder is. Then I'm taking this F20 brush from Shop Miss A, and I'm just blending out and dusting off the excess powder. Now most times when I reverse contour, it is a little bit harsh and it's hard to blend out without adding any additional finishing powders. So what I like to do is go in with my foundation brush. So I'm gonna take my foundation brush that I use to apply my foundation, but I'm not adding any additional product, and I'm just using this to blend out any harsh lines. When you do this, this helps make your makeup look flawless and blend so well. And then to kind of wrap up this look, I'm taking my Essence Lash Princess mascara. Now they have a lot of them, but this mascara is very affordable, and I think mascara just gives you a nice natural look to the face. It's really great for people who aren't into lashes, but if you are a lash girly, then you don't have to do much else to finish off this look but do the lips. So before we get into the lips, I do want to add some highlighter, and this is the highlighter from the contour palette. So I'm just taking some of that in this e.l.f. highlighting brush and adding it to like the top of my cheek. I'm adding some on my nose with my finger, and then just kind of blending it out. So this is again an optional step, but if you're a highlighter girly like me, then you can add you some highlighter. And then I am setting this with the e.l.f. Power Grip setting spray. Now again, I listed this as an optional step because this was not a part of the original 5 products, but I had to throw in the extras to show y'all how to really get a complete face that will last throughout the day. And then for the lips, I'm taking my Glow Reviver lip oil from e.l.f. and I think this just has a really natural look on the lips and it brings everything together. Let me know what y'all think about this look. Alright y'all, this is the finished look. It looks absolutely phenomenal. I'm so glad that my original beginner starter makeup kit still works in 2024. Literally, look at the face, honey. Now, I did swap out a few products for some of my current faves, so let's just quickly go through the products that we use today. First up, still utilizing the Black Radiance True Complexion Contour Palette. This palette is in the shade medium to dark. As you can see, I love this palette. Not only does it have a highlighter, it has a sculpt shade and a contour shade, and I actually used the contour and sculpt shade to like bronze and sculpt my face, but I was also able to use it in my brows and as an eyeshadow. I love the natural look that using your bronzer as an eyeshadow gives to the face, so that's what we did today. I did want to add a little bit more definition, which is where I went in with the contour shade and added a little bit more of that to the hollows of my cheeks and my forehead. As far as highlighter, a little goes a long way. Like, it's giving me that glow, but you can skip that step if you're not a highlighter girly. Next up, the LA Girl Pro Concealer. Now y'all know this is the OG, and they done hike her price up a little bit. She used to be $2.99, but now she's closer to $4.99, $5 range. But the LA Girl Pro Concealer is a great concealer to use. As you can see, like, the face is eating, okay? So some of the tips that I've learned over the years is it's very important to allow your concealer to dry down under the eyes before you blend it out. So if you immediately blend it out, you're gonna get less of an opaque coverage, a little bit more of that sheer medium coverage. But if you want a full coverage look and to cover up your dark circles or whatever you're trying to conceal, you want to let that concealer sit for a good 3 to 5 minutes. Let it get tacky, okay? Let it get tacky and then blend it out. The next product is one that I swapped out. So this is the new e.l.f. Soft Glam Satin Foundation. I've been enjoying this foundation because not only does it give me that radiant lit from within glow, but I just feel like it's giving my skin but better. Now they do have, I believe, 36 total shades. For this one, I use shade 53 today. I have not tried shades 51 and 52, which are the 2 shades that I tried in this video right here where I review the foundation. One quick tip that I will give you is when buying a foundation, I would always go for a shade that you think may be too dark versus buying the one that's too light if you cannot find your exact shade. What I did today was take this shade 53, which is slightly darker than my skin tone, and I added just a little bit of my LA Girl Pro Concealer in the shade Toffee to lighten it up just a tad. When you purchase a foundation shade that might be a little bit darker than your skin tone, you're able to correct it with your concealer. You can reverse contour under the hollows of your cheek, but you can also add a little bit of that concealer on the chin and the forehead area to brighten up the high points of your face. I revisited blending out the LA Girl Pro Concealer around my brows with my finger fingers because one, when you use your fingers, it warms up the product on the skin and helps it blend really well. So I definitely recommend trying that out if you have not, and this limits the amount of brushes that you need to use to achieve this makeup look. Next up, we have the Maybelline Fit Me setting powder. So this setting powder I feel gives me a full coverage soft glam look every single time, and I will say a little goes a long way. I use the shade 30 medium deep, and it was a great neutral tone for my under eyes. Not too bright, but not too dark. Onto mascara. I've been loving this Essence mascara. Not only is she affordable, honey, but she gets the lashes right, okay? So my lashes are a little short, but I still feel like this mascara was able to grip all of my lash hairs and literally define them. So definitely find a mascara that works for you in whatever you're trying to achieve with your lashes, whether that be lengthening, thickening, or trying to get it to curl a little bit more. Whatever you're trying to do, find a mascara that works for you. Essence has a few different ones to try, so make sure you check out their lines. Now, before we wrap up this video, I do want to share a few things that you can add on to this 5-product makeup kit that may enhance your makeup just a little bit more. Of course, before you do your makeup, you want to make sure you have your skin prepped. Today, I prepped my skin using the La Roche-Posay. This is their Double Repair Face Moisturizer. Now, you can use any moisturizer that might be hanging around your house, but I definitely recommend making sure your skin is moisturized before applying your makeup, because for me, I feel like it's kind of like when you grease your pan before you start cooking. You know, if you just throw the meat in there, it don't got no glaze or nothing to, work with and, get you right. So that's how I think of it. I like to make sure my face is moisturized, so when I start applying my products, it's just melting on my skin like butter. Now, another thing that I did use before I applied my makeup is a primer. This is the e.l.f. Power Grip Primer. Now, I recommend this primer to anyone getting into makeup because it is a great universal primer. Whether you have oily skin, dry skin combination, you can use this primer. They do have a version of this which has niacinamide in it. You can use either of those two. This will serve as the glue and make sure your makeup is locked in place, okay? So make sure if you haven't tried this, get this. You need it in your kit. Another thing that I recommend is getting a brow pencil. Now, this is the e.l.f. Ultra Precise Brow Pencil. I love this brow pencil, one, because it just snatches my brows every time, but it also has a good shade range. You could also try out the NYX Micro Brow Pencil. Any micro brow pencil from the drugstore, like Wet n Wild, Juvia's Place, Maybelline, all of those have been pretty good in my opinion. As you saw earlier, we used the Black Radiance Contour Palette, the darkest shade in here, which is Contour, to do our brows. Now, this is brown. My brows and my hair is not this light of a brown shade, so you may want to invest in a brow pencil so you're not walking around with just brown brows and your hair is like black or blonde or whatever. So if I could make this a 6-product starter kit, this got to be in there because we need the brows snatched. I also think brow pencils give you good control, and of course when you're doing your makeup, if you did not know, use your dominant hand that you normally write with. If you use your non-dominant hand, it might be a little bit more difficult to achieve your makeup look. Just want to throw that out there for my beginners. I always recommend starting with your dominant hand. Now, if you both-handed, that's your business. The next extra product that I would recommend would be a setting spray. So this is the e.l.f. Power Grip Dewy Setting Spray. So you see, it's giving radiant, it's giving dewy. The setting spray is what basically seals everything together, brings everything back to life. My girl Nikki always says if you wet it, you gotta set it, which when you put liquid foundation on, concealer on, those are wet products. So you wanna set those wet products with a setting powder. So you got the wet products, set it with a powder. Setting spray comes into play when it comes to bringing everything back to life. I get a lot of questions on like, do you absolutely need setting powder or can you just use setting spray? I always recommend setting the wet products first and then just finishing with a setting spray. But at the end of the day, you can trial and error and see what works for you in your routine. Last but not least, I finished off this look with my e.l.f. This is their Glow Reviver Lip Oil. This is in the shade Rose Envy, and I think this shade looks very natural on my lip. It gives me a nice gloss, a nice shine on the lips, but you can use any chapstick lip gloss that you just have around the house. So those are all of my top recommendations for your beginner starter makeup kit. Do not be hard on yourself. Practice, practice, practice. Your makeup may not turn out perfect the first time or turn out exactly like my makeup the first time, but the more you practice, the better you will get. So just keep trying. When it comes to the brows, figure out what brow shape works for you, okay? When it comes to bronze and contour, figure out which placement works best for you. And if you're still watching, go ahead and subscribe so you do not miss any new uploads. In the meantime, make sure you guys check out my beginner makeup series here, where I teach you guys how to do your makeup. As always, be kind, be true, and be you, Tiffle. Bye!